Hello my lovelies, Sarah Jane Critchley here, author of A Different Joy, The Parent's Guide to Living Better with Autism, Dyslexia, ADHD and more. Now today I want to talk to you about good friends, bad friends, some ways of suggesting how to differentiate with your young person between the two, and ways of managing capacity of having a number of friends, how you manage those relationships and how you keep yourself and your energy level okay while you're doing that, because it can be really tricky. So, first of all, what's a good friend? Now, I've just got 5 ideas for what makes a good friend, 5 ideas for what makes a bad friend. What you could do is you could sit down with your young person, you could actually get them to write out, just on a piece of paper, as simply as this, what they might think. So, these are the ones that we've come up with. What makes a good friend? Someone who wants the best for you, rather than necessarily for themselves. Someone who helps you to grow. Someone who values you for who you are, whether you're short, tall, fat, thin, gay, straight, whatever. Someone who loves to share things with you. And someone who celebrates your success. So it's just 5 ideas of things that I think might make a good friend. And I want to share with you now 5 ideas for what might make a bad friend. So, someone who wants the best for them rather than for you. Someone who wants you to stay the same rather than to help you to grow. Someone who needs you to conform to their idea of a friend. So if you don't do what they expect or what they want, they won't be your friend anymore. Someone who ignores you. If they don't want to spend time with you, they're not really your friend. And someone who's jealous of your success. Now that can be really tricky because people change, people develop and grow. But a real friend, a really good friend, is someone who will celebrate and be joyful with you. So having sat down and gone through that and thought about what a good friend might be and what a bad friend might be, how can you actually unpack that and make that sensible? Well, one of the best ways is to look at films. I know it's YouTube, but to look at films. And one of our favourite examples is The Lord of the Rings. So a good friend would be Aragorn to the Hobbits, if you're thinking of a good friend to Frodo. Or Sam is the ultimate good friend who does things for Frodo regardless of anything else. And he stays with him, he's steadfast, he's consistent, he always helps out, he never gets in the way, he celebrates, and he is utterly reliable. A bad friend, someone who would consider themselves to be a friend, a member of the fellowship, would be Boromir. So someone who supported the hobbits, spent time with them, taught them how to fight, but when it came to it, he wanted them for his own purposes. He wanted the ring, he needed access to that. So it's just an example of how you could use anything that they're interested in. I happen to pick that one because that's the subject that we love in this house, and so that makes sense to us. But it could be that you're talking about characters in Thomas the Tank Engine or Dora the Explorer, or any particular interest that your young person has. So once you've kind of worked out what a good friend is and what a bad friend is, it's worth bearing in mind that people change, people develop, and people grow, and anyone can make mistakes. So someone may be behaving as a bad friend. That doesn't necessarily make them a bad friend. So it's by what they do, not necessarily what they say. Okay? So that then leaves you with the final aspect, which is around how you manage your energy to be able to take on board these sort of relationships. Because what we know is that having some form of connection with another human being is a basic human need. Now that doesn't have to be somebody who's living with you all the time. You just need to have some connection to other people. And often with lots of our autistic friends, colleagues and families, it will be people who have the same special interests, people who love the same sort of things. But one of the things that you need to do is that friendship is a social activity. And for some people it can be incredibly draining, so you won't want to do it all the time. You'll need to take breaks, you'll need to pace it. So one of the ways of doing that is to actually categorise your friends and your family and your social time. And you might like to think about doing it this way. So what I've done is I've put, this could be a particular period of time. It could be a day, a month, a year, whatever. The idea of the top half being that you would need to spend more time with people who are close friends, with people who are a partner, a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a significant other. And you do need to spend some time with friends and other animals. Now, those friends may include furry friends, they may be our cats and our dogs, and they may contribute to our well-being. It may be your mother or your father, it may be your children, whatever that may be, but that is probably going to be a substantial part of your time. And there has to be kind of a cost-benefit analysis. I know that sounds really harsh, but you have to feel that there's some benefit for spending time with people. Otherwise, there are other people you can spend your time with. So, what are other sorts of friends? And you have to, sorry, I'll come back to the bit in the middle in a second, but there are people who you just happen to be with, whether it's at school or at work. They're people you happen to spend time with because that is a place or a situation that you are in at that point in time. That would make them an acquaintance rather than necessarily a friend. A friend to me is someone with whom you have some sort of emotional connection. You may not have an emotional connection with them, and that's okay too. And the final bit here, some of my best friends come from those who share a special interest. And there are people who you spend time with doing something that you love. And there's nothing that makes you feel better than to have time doing something you really, really enjoy in the company of people who enjoy the same sorts of things. And people, it's a really good way of finding friends, actually, that if you find people who are interested in similar things, they may well end up becoming a close friend. So sometimes your friends are situational, and sometimes they're because they share the same sort of interests as you. But regardless, you're going to need to build in, if you're autistic or you have limited capacity or you're disabled and you have to manage your energy, or you're just overwhelmed and you're a parent as well, you're going to have to build in recovery, alone, or special interest time. And that's like the magical air gap straight after school. That's time that you spend when you're not doing social. So it could be time with a good book, it could be time with a cup of coffee, it could be time with a pet who you love to stroke, it could be time playing games, whatever. But the idea is you do need that. So just think about how to manage your capacity. You don't have to have the same level of friendship with everyone you meet. You don't have to be friends with everyone you meet. You don't have to have any friends at all. But we do know that individuals need some form of human contact. So it's worth trying to build those. The other thing is that you're less vulnerable if you have a friend. Much less vulnerable to bullying, you're much less vulnerable to exploitation, provided it's a good friend, not a bad friend. Sometimes they'll take care of you. So, just my thoughts for today. I hope you find those helpful, and I hope they'll help you and your family. Until next time, it's Sarah Jane Critchley here, hoping that you will be able to speak your truth, honour your struggle, and live happier life of your own choosing. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.